All right. Welcome to Kabbalah of Adam. We've got our prayers going. We're going to continue in our Parsha. I've been in and out for a couple of weeks here on travel and business. So even though we're 2 Parshas behind, I'm going to stay on the track of where we are. So we're going to continue and start today in Terumah, even though we're 2 Parshas behind. And because this class is very in-depth and very specific, because it's dealing with the temple and building the temple, I may do this in a 2-part just for the fact of time. I've got everything done in chapter 25, Exodus 25, all the way to the menorah. And I want to surely do the menorah and the covers for the tabernacle and the walls of the tabernacle and the partitions and the altar and the courtyard. So I still have a while to go. And I noticed in my Torah here, as I was going through it, I really didn't have any notes or anything underlined or marked in this Parsha, and the rest of my Torah is just chopped up, and marked up. So it's something that I've really never delved in and looked in, and so we took our time and we really went through it. And as we're following the body of Adam here, and if you followed along with us, everything it went from building Adam to purifying the body of Adam, which was the people, to the whole Metatron structure and all that, and so we've completed Adam, aka Metatron, aka Yud Hey Vav Hey. And so just as most of these other books are not written in order, this one's not written in order either. This was given to Moses when he was up on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. But there wasn't only once the golden calf happened did they have a need for any of this. So there's a huge kasha. Why in the world is God giving him all this when the golden calf hasn't even happened yet? Of course, we can resolve that by Adam has fallen, so guess what? Everything's going to fall down that crack. It's sort of a preemptive strike. However, what we don't see is that everything here is only a microcosm of there. It's just a scaled down, basically a scaled down version. So if we're going to find out today is there is a temple in every world, and all the way down to this one. Of course, this one doesn't have a physical temple. However, there is a Torah that says, I will not enter the heavenly Jerusalem until I first enter the earthly Jerusalem. So everybody's trying to build the 3rd temple. Well, that's Feidinim. Is it an actual building, or is it a person? Because the person is the Tselem, the image of the body of Adam. So there's one view that says we've got to go over there and actually build the 3rd temple. And then there's basically the Kabbalistic view of saying no, and it's almost the spiritual view, which has fallen out into the klipa that your body is a temple, but literally your brain is the temple. All right, so you're a partsuf, you're a sphirot. So literally, until you get God in your mind, in your brain, and you're operating on that level, what use is there for the physical temple? So the fact of the matter is that once this is considered building the temple, once you build that space for God in say the pineal gland, the Even Shtia, then the 3rd temple is literally going to come down, because it's already there, and it's called Metatron's temple. So whether it's the temple there, whether it's the temple here, it's Metatron's temple. Upper Yud Hey Vav Hey, lesser, or it's one thing, but let's say constricted Yud Hey Vav Hey, expanded Yud Hey Vav Hey is an easier way to look at it, because there's a piece in here that we're going to go through, and you don't say water, like Benabuya did in the Pardes. You don't say, oh, well, there's this Metatron and that Metatron. This system is only the inner lining of that system. That system prolapsed out and it's still connected. It's only the inner lining. So especially when we get to like the lid of the ark and the lid of the table that we're going to go through and discuss, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. It seems like there's two lids because there's the ark here and there's the table out here. But if you say that these are two separate items, you've automatically cut the shoots. You've automatically distanced he and his name, or Keter Malchut. That's Keter, this is Malchut. One's just the crown of the other one. They're not separate things, okay? Because they are contained in one temple, in one body, Just like, you can say, oh yeah, you can cut your arm off. It's still you, It's still you. So without further ado, let's read the prayers. We got everybody going here. The first part, hang with me. The first part, we're going through some Midrash Rabbah, and I'm going to read a little piece about Rav Kook that he wrote on, because we're going to get into the Takash skins and what that is, because everything makes sense in here until you get to Takash skins, right? I know what gold is and copper and turquoise, but ram skin and goat hair, but what is Takash skin? Okay, it's amazing what it really is. And if you have a Gemara, go get it. Shabbos 28, A4 is where we're going to be in that. And Rav Kook gives a overview on what he's saying the Takash skin is. And I will go ahead and preface it. He's saying it's the Erev Rav. Okay? Now, unless you know Noga, unless you work in Noga like we work in Noga, Noga is a spectrum from the atheist to Christianity to Islam to Noahide to Ger to Ger Tzedek to Erev Ra to Israel. It's all just one thing. One's just further away from the connection, because the Erev Ra they are the Noga of Israel. But then the Ger is the Noga Klipa of Israel. And so on and so on and so on and so on. Because without Klipa, there is no fruit. Okay? You are identified by the furthest ring out. So he makes a really cool little deal there that we're going to go through. But let's read our prayers and we'll get rocking on. And there's a piece here in this prayer when we get to open my eyes so that I see wonders from your Torah that becomes a part of the ark. And what is going on because of the acacia wood. There's a whole thing going on with acacia wood. Why is God building this thing out of this specific wood? I mean, so we're going to get into there. It's the first part may be not as exciting, but as we go and as we start fleshing out what all these things are, it's really cool. So sit back and enjoy. Let's do this. Let's dedicate this Torah teaching for the coronavirus and all the fear and scare of people having that. May it calm their senses on it. And like to dedicate this class to my buddy Russell Kirk, that he'll speedily. And we'd like to give the merit of our Torah to Israel and all of Jerusalem. Ruler of the universe and master of all masters, Father of mercy and forgiveness, we thank you, our God and the God of our fathers, by bowing down and kneeling, that you brought us closer to your Torah and your holy work, and that you enable us to take part in the secrets of your holy Torah. How worthy are we that you grant us with such a big favor. That is the reason we plead before you, that you will forgive and acquit all of our sins, and they should not bring separation between you and us. And may it be your will before you, our God and the God of our fathers, that you will awaken and prepare our hearts to love and revere you. And may you listen to our utterances and open our closed heart to the hidden studies of your Torah. And may our study be pleasant before your place of honor as a aroma of sweet incense. And may you emanate to us light from the source of our soul to all of our being. And may the sparks of your holy servants, through which you revealed your wisdom to the world, shine. And may their merit and the merit of their fathers and the merit of their Torah and holiness support us, that we shall not stumble through our study. And by their merit, enlighten our eyes in our learning, as stated by King David, the sweet singer of Israel. Open my eyes so that I'll see wonders from your Torah. Because from his mouth God gives wisdom and understanding. May the utterance of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart find favor before you, God, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen. Okay, if you'll look on the Facebook page there, you will see I put up a little graphic there from Mattlage Messiah, and they do a relatively good job of showing you that the temple is built in the image of a man's body. Whose body? Adam's. So let's get right in it. The Midrash Rabbah says that the Mishkan is called Mishkan HaNa'ar. HaNa'ar. What is Na'ar? That's the youth.
That's Metatron.
That's Metatron. This is the temple of Metatron, the Midrash Rabbah says. This is the 4D Metatron that is now collapsed into 3D. This is the body of Adam superimposed on the body of Metatron. Now, we must return the temple to its higher root. If you want to, if you have one of these Chumash, blue one, there is a note here on page 444. The tabernacle is the resting place for God's presence. With the exception of the tragic incident of the golden calf, the rest of the book of Exodus is devoted to the preparations of construction for the Mishkan, the dwelling place, or the tabernacle. Even the account of the golden calf is not unrelated to the tabernacle, for according to this source here, the very construction of the tabernacle was made necessary only because of Israel's lapse into the virtual idolatry. In other words, without the sin of the golden calf, it wasn't necessary, because they were the body of Adam. He maintains that ideally the no temple should have been needed after the revelation of Sinai, because the entire nation achieved a high level of prophecy. And we're going to talk about prophecy today too. The secret of prophecy, and how you can take anybody that says they're a prophet, and if they're not doing it this specific way, there's a specific way to prophesy. And we will go over how to do it. If they're not doing it this way, they're not prophesying. Every prophet knew this secret. And we will go through that. The entire nation achieved the level of prophecy, and every Jew was worthy of the Shekinah, the divine presence, to rest on them, as it later did in the tabernacle and in the temple. So that's why I say, once that is the body, that is the real tabernacle temple that he wants to dwell in Jerusalem before the heavenly one. You see what I'm saying? It's going to follow the map here. It's not that we have to go over there and build the third temple. We got to build the third temple, and then it will come down on its own. Only after Israel toppled from the high level of spirituality as a result of worshiping the golden calf did it become necessary for it to be central, the central sanctuary. Rashi comments on it. The comments that the instructions regarding the erection of the tabernacle were transmitted only after the incident of the golden calf. The fact that they are given in this chapter is an instance that the common principle of the Torah is not always written in chronological order. So anyway, I don't want to read all that to y'all, but I just want to give y'all a little brief synopsis on that. So this is collapsed Adam, collapsed Metatron. Now Midrash Rabbah and Bar Midbar in Numbers, Rabbi Simeon said, In the time when the Holy One is to raise up the tabernacle, he said to the ministering angels that they should raise up a tabernacle too. So the whole time he's telling Moses, you've got to build this temple. He's telling them, you have to build this temple. So there's going to be one in Asiya, one in Yetzirah, one in Berea, and obviously there's one in Atzilut. At that time, when it was set up below, it was also set up above. What is the one above? And what are the sacrifices? And what is that 4D thing? The name of it is the Mishkan HaNa'ar. Same name. Whose name is Metatron. He is the Kohen Gadol. He is the Kohen Gadol there. He is the Kohen Gadol here. What is the sacrifices in the Mishkan above? These are the souls of the tzaddikim that are on the supernal altar to atone for Israel when they are in exile. They are creating man in the exile where there is no temple. The tzaddik is the yesod, the channel that does the elevation. This is how Zeran Pin has union with Shekhinah. So all the sages that have passed on before us are literally the man, those souls are literally sacrifice or channeling, creating, keeping 3D afloat. Therefore it is written, raise up a Mishkan. Doesn't say build one. Doesn't say create one. It says raise up one. That's why it says raise up one, because it's raised up in 4D. Meaning the word, it's called et Mishkan. The et particle is in front of the word Mishkan. According to Rabbi Akiva, this means it's coming to include something. What is it coming to include? There's two. There's one here, one there. Upper and lower. You created a dwelling place for Hashem. The tabernacle is the replica of Genesis. All of the creation process and all its details. Therefore, it is the chariot, the Merkava, linking everything on every level together. All the worlds, all the pieces of the body, everything. All the way up to the Ein Sof. Because it's the Ein Sof that's now turned inside out. And we're going to see in a minute how the Ein Sof is in the temple. And literally all you're talking about is Ein Sof and Or Sof. I don't care what other names you put in there, other Kabbalistic terms, it's all about Keter Malchut. And it's the crown and the head. And it's just inverted. All right? So as we get going into this, you're going to see. Rav Vali says, Terumah, or offering. If you take the word trum and remove the hay, trum means to elevate the hay, which is the Shekhinah. Why? So she can have union with Zah. The holy union is completed through the Hesed, the loving kindness of the lower realm, by doing this. So let's read the first verse. Hashem spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel and let them take for me a portion. For every man whose heart motivates him, you shall take my portion. That doesn't even sound right if you're just reading it. It should say, let him take his portion. But he says, no, let him take my portion. Why? Because God's the only thing here. There's nothing here that's yours or you. It's he and his name. He and the Shekhinah. So what he's saying is you have to take that part of me and elevate it back up. It's mine. It's still me. Right? Who is me? Me is Zeranpin. And what is the offering you're supposed to give? It's her. She's the only thing he wants. The words Terumah also spell Torah Mem. If you take the word Torah and put a Mem in it, it's Terumah. And Moses got the Torah 40 days and 40 nights. That's the Mem. So the puzzle fits once again. The Torah of Terumah was given over these 40 days and 40 nights. Like at Noah. Noah had, his name was Menachem. You have a Mem at Bina and a Mem at the Malchut. And the word Noah is the Midot, the sixth Sphirot in the center. So Menachem, if you take the two Mems off of the 40 days and 40 nights, you're only left with Noah, which is the Midot, which is just Zah, which is take Rachel and Leah off, and it's just Noah. That's another reason why you can't be just a Noahide, because you're missing Bina, Rachel, and Leah. That's another story. If it took Moses 40 days and 40 nights to receive the Torah in the consuming fire, how much more would each portion be to unite with it? So what he's saying is, Moses is Moses, and he could do it in 40 days and 40 nights. But these people are not Moses. But if each one of them can take a piece, how much more so the sum is greater than the whole, right? You know, so that's why he's saying, take each of you your portion, because each of you have to build this structure, this Metatronic interface, so I can dwell here. They are like a cell in the body. It's not set. Everybody's nefesh is on a different level. Everybody's soul is different. That's why it says, as your heart motivates you, because it's where you are rooted in. The Mishkan is the temple of Metatron. It's nothing more than the inner lining. As we said, if the sin of the golden calf hadn't happened, the need for the temple there would be no need. Yet, due to the collapse of Adam, the blueprint was given, and the next parsha is all about the kahuna. So the next portion is all about the Metatronic aspect that's going to be in this temple. So you see how we went from Metatron to Metatron to Metatron. We're still going in that direction. All right. This piece of Torah here is nothing more than reverse engineering. The people are now having to reverse engineer the entire fall. This is all taking place on day 40. The Erev Ra, we will find out later on in the next Parsha, the golden calf, that the Erev Ra started counting on the day Moses went up. But Moses and Aaron didn't start counting till he got there. That's why they were off a day. So Rav Kook. So let's go through this for a second, because we want to look at the Takash skins, and we're going to cover Takash skins first, and then we're going to come back through and discuss what each and every one of these other things are. Verse 3, chapter 25 in Exodus, verse 3. This is the portion that you shall take from them: gold, silver, copper, turquoise, purple, scarlet wool, linen, goat hair, red dye ram skins, Takash skins, acacia wood, oil for illuminating, spice for anointment oil, and aromatic incense, shohan stones, and stones for the setting, for the ephod and the breastplate. That's the design. Okay? Everything that is going to be in the temple that it's going to require is going to be an iteration, a microcosm of those things. Now, what are those things? In 3D, they're simple. They're gold and they're copper, and the Peshat is the Peshat. All right? So we're going to stay on Takash skins just for a second. And if you will turn your page to, let's see here, chapter 26 and verse 14 for me. 26 and 14. You shall make a cover for the tent of red-dyed ram skins and a cover of Takash skins above. Did it say on top? Above. You have to look at the words in Torah really close. Even though they may not make sense, and you assume, oh, that's just the roof, right? Doesn't say that. It says above. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take these things in chapter 25, verse 3 through 6, and those items are going to be the things that they use throughout the rest of this parsha to make things, to complete the structure, because those are going to be the building blocks of how he wants it built with, right? And so Rav Kook says the Takash skins. I'll tell you what, before we get to that, let's go in, if you have Shabbos 28, go grab that. If you look at Shabbos 28b1 for a second, and you look at the right-hand page about second paragraph, it says the Gemara discusses this explanation as well, and it talks about the skin of the tefillin. You know, the rope, the tie on the tefillin, and this comes from the oral law Moses taught at Sinai, because ask a Karaite, where in Torah does it tell you how to put on tefillin? It just says put it on. How? 7 wraps below, 3 wraps above, right? That's the spherotic structure. All right? I mean, there's a specific way to do it. I see people put tefillin on all the time. They're taking pictures on the internet, you know. The Jews, everybody, they put on tefillin. 90% of them don't have it on right. There's a specific way. They'll have 8 or 9 wraps here and a couple up here. No, that's wrong. It's a specific way. Anyway, so number one, we're seeing there was oral law taught at Sinai. All right? The Gemara's playing with it. And it's talking about you can't put a non-kosher animal, leather, on the tefillin. That would make sense, right? You wouldn't want pork strap tefillin. Okay? So they got a Gemara going on here. And so it brought up the discussion of, what about a takash? What is it? Can you have a non-kosher skin on the tabernacle? See, that's the kasha. That's the machloket. So if you will turn now to, look at the bottom of the page there. The Gemara offers yet another explanation of the brasa. Rather, brasa wishes to teach us that the straps of the tefillin must be made of the hide of a kosher animal. Now, if you'll go to the next page, 28b2, and look at the third paragraph. Now, the Gemara has stated that the brisa cited by Rav Yosef is not forbidding the use of non-kosher animal hides in the construction of the Mishkan. The question discussed above returns. Was the takash a kosher animal or not? The Gemara therefore says, what is to be decided regarding the takash that existed in the days of Moses and was used for the cover of the Mishkan? Was it a kosher animal or a non-kosher animal? It's noga, right? And I mean, it's kind of like the ger. Are we kosher animals or are we non-kosher animals? You know, we are, as far as the Christendom is concerned, they think we're Jews. But as far as the Jews are concerned, they think we're Goy. So you see, there's that sway. The Gemara answers. So what they're fixing to do is they're fixing to teach you a very, very high piece of Torah about Noga and Ger, or wherever you want to slide it in there. Rav Kook slides it in there with the Erev Rav. The Gemara answers. Rav Illa said in the name of Rabbi Shimon Bar Lakish. That's Bar Lakish. Rabbi Meir used to say, the Takash that existed in the days of Moses was a unique creature. You know how to catch a unique creature? Unique up on it. For the sages could not decide concerning whether it was a type of behemoth or a type of Haya. And it had a single horn in its forehead. You want to know where the mythological unicorn came from? This is him. And it presented itself to Moses according to the need of the hour. And he made it a cover for the Mishkan. It was hidden. Now, since Rebbe Meir said that the Takash had a single horn on its forehead, we can learn from this that it was a kosher animal. And according to the rule that states that any horned animal can be assumed to be kosher. For this rule applies not only to two horned animals, but also animals possessing but a single horn. For Rav Yehuda said, okay, so that is the 4D version. Now we're going to get the 3D version. They're always giving you up and down. Okay, they're never arguing. But actually, this guy's is giving us a pretty lofty one too. For Rav Yehuda said, the bull that Adam, the first man, offered to Hashem as a sacrifice. Remember, on Adam's Yom Tov, which is the December 25th through New Year's Day, basically, that is Adam's Yom Tov. That's the winter solstice when the sun started coming up. Why? Because he offered a Takash. So this is a 4D creature. And Moses is none other than miniature Adam, right? So guess what? He has to have this thing. Guess what? The Mishkan Hana'ar is a Metatronic Adamic thing. It has to have 4D coverings. You can't have 3D coverings on a 4D substance. Therefore, this Takash, and which is the secret of Noga, which is the secret of Ger. Why? Because it's the inner lining turned inside out. They say the same thing. Had Adam not fallen, there would be no 70 nations. Had the children of Israel not sinned with a golden calf, there wouldn't have been any Mishkan. What does that tell you? There's your formula. That's the Ger, that's the Noga. That's the inner lining turned inside out. Now it's skin. 4D skin. We are the 4D skin. So, here's what it says. For it is stated regarding the sacrifice, and this, praise to Hashem, is better before Hashem than a bull horned and hooved. Since Adam's bull, this Nakash, was a kosher beast possessing only one horn, we see that even a single horned animal can presume to be a kosher beast. The Gemara questions Rabbi Yehuda's proof text. But the term horned implied that Adam's bull had two horns. Why does Rabbi Yehuda deduce this phrase as a proof text only single horn? The Gemara answers. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak said, although we read the verse as horned, makrin, it is written as makirin, a horn, which implies that the bull possessed a single horn. So anyway, they go on and well, let's just read it. The Gemara returns to Rav Illa's proof and asks, but let us infer from this, from the fact that the Takash had only one horn. That is, it's a type of behemoth, not a type of Haya. So they're saying, oh, it's a 3D creature, not a 4D creature. All they're doing is playing with it, you know. For since the Takash had a single horn, it is like the same type of animal as the one sacrificed by Adam, a bull, which is behemoth. Why then were the sages unable to deduce whether the Takash was a Haya or a behemoth? The Gemara answers, since there exists a Kerish, which is a type of Haya, and which only has a single horn, it can be said that the Takash was actually a type of Haya, like a Kerish, and not a behemoth at all. The sages could not decide what sort of beast it was. Did they really not know? They just explained the whole matter. That's what you call revealing to conceal the matter, right there, okay? Oh yeah, we don't know what it is. Wink, wink, you know? So, this Takash had rainbow skin because it was the 70 lights, and it had rainbow skin. So, Rolf Cook says, this multicolored skin of Takash, is it domestic or wild? And we just read through it. He said, it is a sort of Seshua. Where have we read that? In the kosher animals. Right before it says ger. You can, right before it talks about nevela. All right, that is the completely split-hoofed animal over there in Deuteronomy. All right, where it talks about, is it a rhea? Is it a dea? Is it a completely split-hoofed animal? The word there is shesua. Nobody knows what that is. That's a two-spined animal. It's a 4D animal. That is the noga. That is the whole secret of ger and the whole thing. But anyway, he's saying, oh yeah, it's like a shesua. Well, is it a behemoth or a haya? He's playing the same game. What is this animal and its connection, and why did Moses use this animal in the tabernacle and the covering? It's called, I'm going to try to say this right, sasgona, vivid color. It is a, quote, metaphor for the desire that Moses had to use the many talents of the Erev Ra, including the Erev Ra, that brings many troubles to Israel. But in the end of days, we will be blessed by these ones. Why? Because the Erev Ra built Israel. Literally. This was written back in, 50s? This piece? Or what? Somewhere around in there. Rav Kook wrote this, and then he became the head rabbi of Israel. So, but it was written years and years before it ever got big. This is because the absorption of them will enrich the nations because they are considered multi-talented. The Erev Rav are the ones that took the Bible to the whole world. What does Rav Vali say about Christianity? That was for the Erev Rav. What does Christians do? They put a Bible in every single hotel you go in, right? So, are they wild animals, or are they domestic animals? See what they're doing there with those? You know, are they good, or are they bad? Is the ger good, or is the ger bad? You see what I mean? There's a lot of them say, oh, the ger's terrible. And then there's a lot of them, man, without the ger, you wouldn't have anything. He's making the same comparison to the noga of the Erev Rav. I wish they wouldn't do that while we're doing this. But I guess you got to cut the grass. No other generation like Moses could have included this, because he's Moses, right? The generation in the future, they will be purged, as it says in Isaiah 1, 20, 25 through 26. Can they be brought into Israel or not? And it says in that verse, and I will purge your dross. So in the end, you know, he's using the multi-talents of the Erev Rav and what they're doing to build Israel. But in the end, he's going to purge it, you know. Moses planted the gifts in these diverse people. The multicolored light is stored away for the future, like the Takash skin to be revealed. These 11 skins that cover the holies, this is the secret of the Noga, and they are the Noga of the Noga. Because 11 is always associated with Noga. There was 11 skins in the Takash, right? And it was an 11-day journey from Egypt to Israel, where they were supposed to go to the Promised Land. So all these 11s are indicative of Noga. Rabali says, the covering on top of the goat skin was beautiful, which is because the skin of Takash had many beautiful colors. It looked like a peacock's feather. If you look at it, if you look into the word Takash, backwards it spells shechat, which means destruction. So what happens when the Erev Rav, if you turn yourself inside out, you're the most beautiful peacock feather God ever created. If you remain inverted in that, you're nothing but destruction. Because everything has prolapsed out. It was only used for this purpose. Anything else was destruction. Only at this time to cover the temple. Therefore, it was hidden away so a secular purpose would not be used for it. Because this animal is from 4D. It's a 4D creature. All right. So, that is basically the little deal on the Takash. So let's get into the verse 3. And I'll try to watch my time here. We'll have to go a little extra long here, but not too far. But this is going to be a 2 or 3 part deal maybe. So this is how he starts. Just like the body of a person has different colors. It has bile, it has blood, it has gall. These are red, green, and black, etc. Since the Mishkan is the replica of Adam, you must have colors. Just like a human, you have skin, flesh, bone. They all have colors as well. Bones are white. Skin can be any color in the rainbow on the planet today. And blood is red, different shades of red, blue, just depending. The sinews, the connective tissue, tendons, ligaments, muscles. These are white or red or whatever, right? Brings energy of the soul throughout the body. And the nerves. Take the energy of the soul throughout the body. They are the circuits that come from the brain. Red circuits are hollow. These are the vessels that bring the nefesh. He's talking about the circulatory system, the blood. And these are the veins of the inner. They don't pulsate. Other types are green and blue. They empty into the channels and bring the ruach. These are the arteries. They come from the heart. And these are the internal curtains. So the curtains. So everything in this verse 3 to 4 here is going to be the entire system of the internal parts of the body and the skin that are going to build this whole Mishkan. It's going to be the veins, the arteries, the nerves, everything. And they empty into the channels to bring the ruach to the arteries that come from the heart. These are the internal curtains that are in the tabernacle. The flesh is the external curtains. These are the goat hair, the skin, the ram skin. Then on top of the garment is the secret of Noga, the Takash skin. You see, he is literally building Adam out of these pieces. This is how we know the Takash comes from above. The bones are an essential part of the body. They hold it up. Therefore, the trees of acacia wood support the structure. They are the bones. The forces of the neshama are like gold. The ruach is silver, and the nefesh is copper. So, make them out of gold, silver, copper. This is the ruach, the nefesh, the neshama, the ruach, and the nefesh. Based on this, you will understand the entire matter in verse 3 as it begins and as it goes through the whole thing. So if it's made out of gold, that's neshama. If it's made out of copper, that's the nefesh. If it's made out of silver, that's the ruach. Those are, and that's going to correspond to Asiya, Yetzirah, and Beriah. There are 5 colors to the curtains. This is the connective tissue, the veins, the arteries, the nerves, the tendons, and the ligaments. The ram skins are dyed red because that is the flesh, that is the human muscles. And the takash skin. And the wood is the bones. It is known that the lower level, that this is the lower level that the Shekhinah dwells in. The great light for day and a lesser light to rule the night. Teferet is the sun and Malchut is the moon. In order for this to operate, it needs oil. Abba is the secret of the oil, because the father is the foundation of the daughter, which pours on the head. This is the anointing oil, and it keeps it in an expanded or hesed state. It keeps the virus from getting near her. This is why they'd pour the oil on the head. Pure hesed. Mochin de Gadlut. Greater Metatron. There has to be a secure connection for all these levels to make a perfect part Suf to all work together. This factor that comes from this to come together comes from the incense offering. This draws down the 13 paths of wisdom from the beard from Atik. Therefore, these are the precious stones that illuminate her to completion. These are known as the Shohan stones, so she can operate. These 12 stones plus the Koel of the blessed plate is the secret of the escort for the Shekhinah. Those are the circuits. All of these things make a dwelling place for the Shekhinah. Just as the body makes a dwelling place for the soul, so too the lower world has customs. Therefore, when you are in this realm, you have to do as this realm does. You have to build a building. So too the Shekhinah has a house, a body, to dwell in. Just like the soul has the garment, which is the body. Just as the soul leaves the body when it dies, so too the Shekhinah left when the temple was destroyed. The Kasha. Isn't the Shekhinah always with Israel, even in the exile? Know this, her lights are not complete. As if she was when she had the Mishkan. It is only enough light to keep her children alive. This is a secret of the synagogue. It is a little Migdash and is known as a little small light. She is like a stranger and a visitor in the land because she has no dwelling place. If it was not for the love of her children, she would leave the world and the world would return to complete darkness. As you know, the Migdash below has to be an exact replica of the Migdash above. Therefore, turn your page. Read verse 8. They shall make me a sanctuary so that I may dwell among them, like everything that I show you. Is he showing him the blueprints, or is he showing him the Migdash there? Moses is seeing the upper Migdash, like everything I show you. You got to make me one like everything I show you. He's getting the tour, the 4D tour. Moses is seeing it in 4D. these vessels and all the details, nothing must be missing. It's like a body without a blemish within it. She will not, if there's a blemish in it, she cannot dwell. The first thing is the ark. So now we're in verse 10. Okay? And I'm not going to read it to you. You can go back and read it along if you want to. But let's cover a little bit of it because it's important. They shall make an ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits in length, 1.5 cubits its width, and 1.5 cubits its height. Why? We're going to cover it. You shall cover it with pure gold. Why not just gold? Cover it with gold. Why pure gold? For within it you shall cover it, and without it you shall cover it. You shall make make it on a gold crown all around. You shall cast 4 rings. Why 4? Why not 6? Why not 8? 2 rings on one side and 2 on the other. You shall make staves of acacia wood to cover them with gold, and insert the staves of the rings of the ark, with which to carry the ark. Did they carry the ark? No. You can't touch the ark. You can't even touch the poles. The ark carried itself. And we're going to see why. The staves remain in the rings of the ark. You would think you'd take the poles out and set them aside. No. There's a reason. They may not be removed from it. You shall place the ark of the testimony that I shall give you. So in the ark was a complete Torah that God wrote for Moses, and the one that Moses had that broke. So there's the actual Torah from Hashem was in there. All right. So here's what Rav Bali says. First thing is the ark. Why does he list the ark first? You know, why not the building and the ark last? Because it's kind of the centerpiece, right? You know, first thing, okay. You know, we build a house now. First thing's the foundation, then your walls. You know, he's talking about the 4D TV screen before the house, is even built. But there's a reason why the ark is listed first. Because the ark is the heart of the body and it's the source of life. Thus the Torah was in the ark and its pieces, because this is matters of the heart. Because the Torah is a tree of life that for the one that grabs her, is in Proverbs. The Uri says there are basically 3 containers within it. There's 3, let's call it 3 boxes. Okay? One within the other. And absolute, they are Bina, Gevurah, and Malchut. Each one is Elohim. Betzael designed these 3 aspects. The head of the tree, because Bina is the head of the tree. The root is Malchut. Therefore, the inner lining and outer lining are gold. These 3 boxes, one within the other, the Gevurot of each is made of acacia wood. Know that the Shekhinah of Atzilut guards herself in these 3 lights. These 3 lights are Akatriel, Metatron, Sandalphon. That's the whole Metatronic system. Akatriel and Metatron is the center column, and Sandalphon is the bottom. Because Aron, or Ark, Aron in Hebrew is Gematria 257. Rav Bali says there's a gematria that you can use that's basically a letter association. It's a very difficult way of doing gematrias. It's not the typical way. There's many ways of doing gematrias. You can take the Atbash, you can take the Milui, you can take all these different ways, right? But he says this is not a normal gematria because this is not a normal circumstance. The gematria of the word association between Akatriel, Metatron, and Sandalphon is none other than 257. It equals Aron. These These are also likened to the moach of the brain, the dura mater, the pia mater, the arachnoid matter. Those are the three coverings of your brain that protect your brain. This is like the blood-brain barrier. That's why viruses have a hard time getting in your brain. That's why viral encephalitis is so bad, you know. These are the three klipa, basically layers, and then the skull, which is going to be the lid of the ark. The curtains is the skin. The curtains are the skin between the holy and the non-holy part. The Torah by Moses is on the inside and the broken pieces. This is the brain of the matter. It's only two pieces after it fell. It was one thing there. But now when it fell, in other words, there weren't two tablets. There was only one tablet. Okay? But once the children of Israel fell, now there's two tablets, and that's why you have two halves of your brain. And your left side controls the right side, and your right side controls the left side, because what happens, this is Atzilut and this is Bia, everything flips and inverts. That's why if you have a stroke on the left side of your brain, it affects your right arm. Vali says, Aron, an ark, is made out of the same four letters as Norah. So if it's A-R-O-N, Aron, if you spelled it backwards, N-O-R-A, that's the word for awesome in Hebrew. So it's awesome here. Down here it's called Aron. It's inverted. It's the inverted container that contains the great, the mighty, and the awesome. Hasidim, Gevurah, Tiferet, known as awesome. Tiferet is the root of Torah and is awesome. Everything comes from the central column to the seven lower sphirot. The measurements is in the Amma. And the Milui of Ab, the 72 name, is 46, which is an Amma. So if you take the Milui of the 72 name, you get the 46, which is Amma. And if you take Abba and Ima and take the A of Abba and the Ma of Ima and put them together in union, you get Amma. This is what we are known as a cubit. But we're going to get into even deeper meanings of a cubit and an Amma here later on. Everything comes from the central column to the seven lower spheroids. And this Amma, these measurements, are the Hesed that defines the measurements to the lower world in which it receives. Its length, its width, its breadth. Everything is in the sod of the Vav. Okay, Yud He, Vav He, because this is Zah. This is Adam. All right? So if you add those up, you have 2.5, 1.5, 1.5, you get 5.5. And if you multiply that times 5, I believe, 5.5 times 6, you get 33. 33 is Gal, which means a sealed mound. It's sealed. In other words, God has concealed the matter, all of it. That's why the measurements are what they are. Because this is how he seals his supernal bride. This word Gal can also mean a well or a fountain, nukva, that type of deal. Which is the Torah, a locked fountain through the lid. A lot of people translate that as the mercy seat, and that's mistranslated, but there's a reason for it. Also, the righteous David said, this is the prayer we read before, open my eyes so that I will see wonders from your Torah. Why? Because he has it sealed. It's completely sealed, and unless you start opening things up, you'll never get it. The essence of the Aron, the ark, is wood, which is the secret of the tree of life. The Torah is the tree of life of those who grab onto her. They cover it with gold, pure gold. These are the lights of Bina that extend to Tiferet, called pure gold. The external forces cannot touch pure gold because it has no dross in it. Klipa free. There are crowns on the lids. The lid is Yesod Bina. That's female entry point, right? Which is rounded and indented. We'll go a little bit. We'll cover the ark here, and we'll wait till the next class and go over the cover and the table, and we'll keep going on that. This area is surrounded by these crowns because it's the crown of Teferet. So Bina, the upper Shekhinah, Divine Mother, sits on Zah, on Adam's brain. So it has a crown on the lid. As it is in Solomon, on the day he was crowned by his crown of his mother at his wedding, right? Because he was a microcosm of Adam. And so even the ark, everything has to be the same iteration. However, let's see. This light adds light to his essence. Therefore, the word for crown here is zer. It's spelled differently than it normally is supposed to be spelled, which is, zer is 204, which is or, as in or Ein Sof. This is the light of the Ein Sof that's coming through Bina that's sitting on top of the ark. However, this light to Zeranpin goes in 4 directions. And because it goes in 4 directions, it has 4 curves. And these 4 curves are the 4 circles that the poles go through. And these four circles are the 4 angels that serve her and guard her and carry her. Michael on the right, Gabriel on the left, Uriel on the right, and Raphael on the left. These are the rings of the Merkabah. So when they got up and went, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, they are the ones that carried the ark. That's why you couldn't touch it. The angels themselves are the staffs, the right staff and the left staff. The light extends to the angels. They are the servants of her and enter into these lights and surround the rings from above. And the servants serve the king and must be ready to serve the king. Therefore, the staffs are never removed. The kasha, there's 2 staffs and 4 angels. Know this, the angels on the right are one. There's no duality, Same thing on the left. That's why there's only 2 staffs. All of these lights are the mochim, the brain, Hokmah, Bina, Hasidim, and Guvarot. All of them enter the heart, which is the king, to extend to the body and give it life. Therefore, you shall put in the ark the Torah that I shall give you. Let's do the cover, and then we'll stop. The lid of the ark, the Aron, is also the part of Bina, of pure gold. Strange word here. It says kaporet, which is lid, as in the term kapor, like Yom Kippur, atonement, alluding to the purity of atonement in its measurements, the length and width. These are the guvarot. These 4 times the vav, which is always 6, is 24. Because there's 24 permutations. If you add them up, it's 4. These are the 24 permutations of Adonai. A valiant woman is the crown of her husband. There are 2 wings, which are the 2 lungs that surround your heart. So see, he's literally building Adam. You got the heart, and that's going to be the Torah, the ark, the 3 levels. You got the 4 chambers. You got all that stuff, and then your heart pumps out to your whole body. But what's surrounding your heart? The 2 lungs. These are the 2 cherubim sitting on the ark. Those are the lungs, right? Pretty cool, huh? Literally cool. They bring ruach to cool the heart and the body from the heat. These are the cherubim on the ark. The two supernal servants that bring life from Bina to Tiferet. This is the Netzach and Hod from above. But the kasha is they are to be hammered out. They cannot be attached to. They were a part of the lid. They were not separate. They had to be hammered out, just like it says in 25:17-18. You shall make two cherubim of pure gold. Hammered out, you shall make them. The kasha is hammered. Is the word kash, which is like kasha, a difficulty, question, a difficulty. This is like a kash, it's hard. Something hard, because air that goes in a hard way to the lungs, to the heart, it goes through a constricted way. Where? Through your esophagus. So while you breathe in, it goes to a constricted way through the throat, which is constriction, which is a hard way. Then it fills up the lungs, right? To an expanded way. From all the lights above, they are all one piece of the lid itself. It is only one cherub per side, and the heart is in the middle, which is the Torah. We have explained that the lid and the crowns is the crown of her husband, Zah below. Therefore, the two servants on her side serve her and the heart. That's why the Torah says, I am asleep, but my heart is awake, and I hear the sound of my beloved knocking. You know, these supernal servants are always there and have devotion between them and their lights and their love from above to below. Therefore, the wings are spread upward and they are facing each other. So it says the wings must be faced upward because they're drawing down the Shefa, the Ruach. But they're facing basically each other, but almost looking down. They receive the Ruach from above through the bronchial tubes, the windpipe, then join each other. This is the secret of they will be facing the lid, so that Moses will know the praise of the woman is the crown of her husband, to know the heart that receives all the supernal lights. I will make myself known to you there, says Hashem, because he spoke through the cherub. Why? It's the breath, Ruach, the breath of life. You have to breathe to speak. Because the heart contemplates, but the mouth speaks. So through up the Torah, through the wind and the Ruach from above, he would speak. This is from the root of Moshe, because Moses comes from the heart. In this verse, from between the top of the cover, those first three letters of the verse are Mem, Shem, He, that spell Moses. Moses' prophecy comes from this place. He is the root of all prophecy. And the Torah says, in the end of days, I will pour out my Ruach, send out my Ruach, and everybody will prophesy, and you'll see da-da-da-da-da. For Israel are the limbs of her body that comes from her heart, from between the cherub. So, every prophet would focus their mind and what they were going to say between those cherub. They would basically pull up from the Torah and they would focus through the cherub, and then they would prophesy. They only did it that way. They didn't just hear something from God and say, thus saith the Lord. They literally focused through that channel, because that's how Moses did it. He's using the cherub, he's using Bina, Zah, he's using the Torah. He's focusing straight through that point, and then God's speaking. It ain't them. Because there's nothing here but God. And God's going to use his system. He's not going to do it he's not going to break those laws. So with that, we will cover next week. We will continuation in Terumah. The table is it's pretty detailed. And just to know, the acacia wood and that's called shittim is the gematria 359 is the same gematria as the Satan. Crazy what's going on with the wood. Crazy. The Torah is amazing and the sages are amazing, and I'll see y'all next week, God willing. Bye.